what's up, you guys? The Dark Knight here, back in with another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the DC Multiverse Blue Beetle movie, Blue Beetle Battle Mode. Taking a look at the packaging over here is pretty much the exact same thing that we've seen with all the other DC Multiverse figures. You do have the window box up front over there. You can see the trading card in the background there, along with the base at the bottom. I don't take them out of the packaging just because they ruin the box whenever you pull them out of the box, so I just leave them in there. You do have DC Multiverse in the front, Blue Beetle movie logo, along with Blue Beetle Battle Mode at the bottom. On the side, you do have a QR code to DC Universe Infinite, which is the DC Universe app, so you can go ahead and scan that if you like right there. A couple more info on it there. The window box continues Blue Beetle Battle Mode with DC Multiverse at the top. Same sort of thing going on the side where you have the Blue Beetle Battle Mode Blue Beetle and then Blue Beetle movie logo at the top over there. McFarlane Toys at the back, you do have a nice concept art of Blue Beetle and Blue Beetle Battle Mode at the top over there with the Blue Beetle movie. McFarlane Toys, a little bit of legalese going at the bottom of there, along with some more legalese at the very bottom. And as you can see, there's the price from GameStop. And then at the top, you do have the window box continuing along with Blue Beetle. Man, try saying that 10 times fast. Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle. This video is going to be all about Blue Beetle over here. And if you guys haven't heard, because, you know, the advertising has been very strong with this movie, Blue Beetle is having a movie, and it's coming out on August 18th, I believe. So, you know, I'm sure not a lot of people have heard about it just because they haven't really had a strong presence on, you know, the internet and social media. I'm guessing it's being very much affected by the strike that's going on right now, which is kind of unfortunate. But the action figures over here are looking really, really nice. And unfortunately, the Blue Beetle movie, we only have the two Blue Beetle figures, which is this one, and there's a regular version, and then there is the villain character of the film. I'm not 100% on his name, but you can also pick that up as well. For today, and probably the only figure I'm going to be picking up out of this wave is the Blue Beetle Battle Mode that I have over here, and I'll explain why I chose this one over the original version a little bit on in the video. But for accessories for this figure, we do have the two fisted hands that are over there, along with an assortment of other hands, which is pretty nice. This really does help with playability over here, where you have all the different sort of accessories. For the left hand, you do have a thumbs up over there, which is pretty nice. And then also for the left hand, you do have a peace sign, which is pretty cool as well too. Really adds to giving the figure sort of emotion. On the right hand, you do have this open hand over here, and then also a pointing hand, which looks pretty good as well too. And if you want to take them out, you can do so by pulling it out and then placing your new hand on top like that. So that's pretty cool. That does really help with displaying, yeah, it's just a very nice addition. And otherwise, in terms of accessories, you do have these wings over here if you want to put them on. They come off when you take it out of the packaging, so if you want to see how you put them on, you do have a pretty ugly hole in the back over here, but that's kind of covered by the scarab shell that you can see right here. And it does have sort of, you know, porthole for it to go inside of Blue Beetle's back over here. And you just poured it in like so. So you put in one, you put in two, and then you just pour it on the back like that. And there you go. Blue Beetle does have wings. Now, if you don't know who Blue Beetle is, he's a pretty unique character in the DC Universe. He's been appearing on media on multiple sort of layers. I remember seeing him back when they did Batman the Brave and the Bold. So this Blue Beetle over here, there's several Blue Beetles. This Blue Beetle is Jaime Reyes, who's going to be the main protagonist in the upcoming film. And Jaime's story is sort of, as you saw in the trailers, he's just an ordinary kid, and he stumbles across this scarab, this alien scarab, that when it bonds with him, it gives him, you know, superpowers. The superpowers are sort of similar to Cyborg, where it's just you're able to create whatever like you can picture in your head. He's a really cool looking character, and you know, I've known him all over the comics. Otherwise, this Blue Beetle, as we were going to be seeing him in the new Blue Beetle movie, and yeah, like, I mean, what can I say? This is a very, very accurate sort of transformation from comics into film. It looks pretty close to how the comics look, and you know, there's more of a live action sort of presence on it with all, you know, the different sort of alien looking textures. But this figure, man, like this figure is absolutely fantastic. At first, I was sort of debating on whether or not I wanted to add Blue Beetle to my collection, but as soon as I saw it on shelves, just sort of the contrast between the shiny blue to the flat black just really stands out on this figure, and there's so much detailing going into this guy. It's absolutely insane. So let's take a closer look at it over here. As we can see with Blue Beetle's head sculpt, he does have his eyes that glow up, and they look a little bit strange in the media, but on the figure, it looks pretty cool over here. And as you can see, you got all sort of like the techie sort of lines going along. And as I was saying, like sort of the contrast between the flat black to the shiny blue. On the other side over here, you can see the back of his head also has sort of that detailing going on. And then the scarab over here does look pretty cool as well too. I like the shiny blue. It really, really stands out in this guy. And these wings over here do have a little bit of light blue dry brushing. So once again, adding to that sort of depth of color, because these are translucent plastic over here. And then the sort of emblem over here looks really cool with the black and the shiny blue, along with the less shinier blue added in there too, which is pretty nice. Just a lot of care went into this figure, and I find it very unfortunate that the movie is projected not to make a lot of money, although these figures are fantastic. And if you also wanted to mash up this figure with the other figure that's coming out with it, just the original Blue Beetle, which I didn't end up picking up, he does have a blaster that comes on his hand that you can sort of like fool around with, and if you pull this off over here, you can put it on there. And I don't have the figure, so I can't show you, but I just wanted to let you know that this figure does have that ability as well too, if you wanted to sort of mash the figures up. And we continue on to his legs over here, which looks really nice. And I think that there is a little bit of dry brushing going on with this figure. I'm not exactly sure, but what I'm noticing over here, it's like it's sort of like a flat black added on with a sort of like a dry brushing of a shiny gunmetal silver or gray. But anyway, the boots over here do continue with that sort of shiny blue, and they look absolutely fantastic as well too. And then you do have the bottom of the feet over here with a little bit of treads too, which is really nice, and then 2 peg holes at the bottom of the feet. As for articulation, I'm going to do without the wings over here. You already saw it fall off, but basically these can just tilt up and down, which is really nice. And I also forgot to mention too, the sort of scarab has the sort of arms that come up over here, and they make a great combination for when you have it on the figure, so that's really nice as well too. I really like that a lot. But anyway, looking at the articulation, the head can move up about that much. It can move down. It can move side to side. There's a bit of pivot in there, which is really nice. But unfortunately, it's just the neck articulation doesn't have, or sorry, the head articulation. There's no neck articulation in there. He does have arm articulation over here, sort of on a butterfly joint as well, so you can move it all around, which is super, super nice. And these shoulder pads are a bit of a softer material, so if you really wanted to move it over, it can easily go on top of the shoulder over there. And then, of course, you can move it down, up, and go in and out. There's a bicep swivel in there. Double jointed elbows, which is always fantastic to see. And then you do have verse articulation, which is a swivel, and then you can hinder it up and down and around. And then you also do have, in the chest area, a diaphragm joint. And you have two diaphragm joints over here. One that's sort of just beneath the chest, and then one that's just above the waist. So you can move them back super, super far, which is really good for a character like this. And up that much, and then you can swivel it. You can tilt it like crazy. It's super nice. It's really good. Standard McFarlane articulation, which is awesome to see. He can kick forward about that much. He can kick back and then around. He can do the splits around that much, so pretty good. And then also you do have a bit of a swivel in there as well too, just ever so slightly. In the waist over here, you do have a swivel, or sorry, I should say the hip. But then you do have double jointed knees, which move in pretty good as well too. Ankle articulation, which is down, up, and a pivot that you can sort of like mangle with and move all around. And then of course you do have the toe articulation, which moves down really well. As for comparisons, I do have Blue Beetle over here next to Dr. Fate from the Black Adam film and Batman from the Flash movie. And these two figures I really do consider some of the best that McFarlane has had for film sort of figures, especially in the DCEU. And this, like, Blue Beetle absolutely surpasses the two of them, like crazy. It's insane. You can definitely see the differences between the two characters over here and just how much detail has gone into this guy. These two figures do look a little bit flatter than Blue Beetle, so I really appreciate how much effort McFarlane has put into this figure. So final thoughts on this Blue Beetle figure. I must say, like, this is probably one of the best, if not the best, of the DC Multiverse figures that McFarlane has put out for the DCEU. Even if you don't like Blue Beetle, like, this is still such a masterpiece of a figure that I just wish McFarlane would just make all their figures like this. Me personally, I picked up this figure just to add it to my DC collection, just because I love Blue Beetle and I'd love to add him to my assortment of DC characters. And the reason why I picked this one over the original edition was just because I felt like having the wings on the Blue Beetle gave him more of a prominence as a character, especially in a display when compared to other characters. And I also liked the fact that it came with different sort of hand accessories. Makes it seem more realistic than just, you know, a standard figure there, vanilla pose. If you're deciding which one you want to get, either this one or the original edition of Blue Beetle, I will say, like I said, I like this one more, but it's really up to your own preference. The weapons do seem pretty cool, but I just like the fact that this one had the wings. As for rating, I would definitely give this figure a 9 or maybe even a 9.5. I don't give it a 10 just because I kind of find it dumb, the fact that they didn't add all of the accessories into one figure. The fact that they had to have two separate releases that were pretty much the same figure, but, you know, one with weapons and the other with wings. They should just put it all into one. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on there with McFarlane. Maybe they're just trying to figure out a way to save money. It also doesn't help either that this film is already suffering as is, so you're going to have even more Blue Beetle figures on the shelf. So I feel like if you had it all into one, that would have just encouraged, you know, more people to buy this figure. But definitely, by far, this is my favorite DC figure that I have in my collection, at least from the McFarlane line. Yeah, there's nothing much else to say about it. I just really hope that McFarlane keeps doing this with other action figure lines, because what they gave us for the Flash was just, it was just unacceptable to me. You know, having that Ben Affleck figure with a completely inaccurate head sculpt. I don't know if it was a reason because they couldn't use his likeness or not, which, if that is the reason, sure, okay, that's okay. But how do you explain that Sasha Kaye Supergirl head sculpt? Like, come on, man. This is by far what should be the standard for McFarlane's figures. And, you know, I get it. You got to have some sort of bad ones here and there because you can't get the best out of every figure you get. It's just, I really wish we could get every single DC figure like this. Now, I am going to catch Blue Beetle in theaters because I am very excited to see this character in live action. I don't know if this will have any implications for the new DCU. Probably not. But I do know that James Gunn did say that this character will be one of the very few making it into the DCU. So I do really encourage you to go see this film. You know, I know it's not going to do the greatest, but, you know, DC's having brighter days to come. Right now, we're sort of in the dark days, and this film is just, it's very unfortunate because this film is now sort of dumped with, you know, actor strikes, and writer strikes where it just literally can't be promoted. And as much as DC wants to try to promote this film, it's also projected not to make a lot of money. So, you know, like, I'd at least go watch it once. I can do a review on the channel if you guys like. You can let me know in the comments down below. But I do feel like that we should support a character like Blue Beetle for the new DCU. Because, you know, Blue Beetle is an awesome character. But let me know what you guys think about this figure in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about the movie. Are you going to go see it? Which version of the two figures do you think you'll get? Will you get this one or will you get the standard edition? As always, leave it in the comments down below. As every YouTuber begs you to do, please like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.